Hi, Brian. I'm Doreen.
Yes, Brian Hall, my pleasure.
It's nice to meet you, too. Here we are on Westerville Road on a busy street in this beautiful rural setting and this great house. Brian, do you know much about Zenas Jackson?
Not much other than the fact that he built the house in 1856, and I think that he was very much interested in the plight of Underground Railroad, the slaves.
So Zenas Jackson is usually just referred to as a pioneer of this area, and so he acquires 5,000 acres from what I can tell. The fact that it is on Westerville Road gives part of the mystery of what surrounds this house. One is this an Underground Railroad house? And Westerville is a very ardent, well-known area on the Underground Railroad. The other mystery, of course, is the house being in this mound, and it's talked about as being the only house in the United States built within an ancient earthwork, meaning an Indian mound. We're not sure exactly if it is about the Indians or if it is about William Henry Harrison, who was tromping through this part of the country in War of 1812. This would have been a road at least established in some rudimentary form. And so for the first time in the entire history of the house, people from the Ohio History Connection will come out and they will look to see if they can determine which is it, that it is the garrison or is it actually a much more ancient earthworks, of which there are many in Ohio and many in this area. I am thrilled that you're here to help solve the mystery of this house. And so can you talk about what you're going to do today to reveal the truth?
Yeah, we're most interested in this embankment here that's in the yard and trying to figure out what that might be. Well, we've brought some equipment today, including a drone to take some photos from above and make a 3D map of the site.
Okay.
And I have a magnetometer that we'll use to look down into the ground. It's a machine that detects the Earth's magnetic field.
Okay.
And it's pretty good at detecting buried ditches in the ground, like maybe fortification ditch or perhaps something associated with an ancient earthwork.
So basically you could perhaps tell the difference between an ancient earthwork of mound builders and a more 19th century embankment that would have been with a fort or some kind of an enclosure.
Mostly I think what we'll be trying to do is see what the shape of it is. So the ancient earthworks that are about 1,700 years old, those tend to be perfectly geometric or nearly perfectly geometric, and circles are really common.
Well, good luck.
Well, thanks. Go backwards a foot. Okay, stake it. First you have to set up this grid so you know where to put the machine to collect the right data.
While Jared and Bill continue their test, Brian, why don't you tell me a little bit more about the history of the house? What do you think? Is it an Underground Railroad house?
Well, inside the house, in the basement, behind the 2-foot wall, in our laundry area, having to go into the wall to do some plumbing, it was discovered that it was actually a room that the slaves slept in, which was concealed. And they came down from the first floor, the bathroom area, down 3 steps and were in the basement, and no one ever knew they were there. Okay, now this is the area that the plumbing was done, and unbeknownst to, I think, people prior to having to do this job, no one ever knew that if you can see where the light is shining, there's the steps right there.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Three steps, that wood right there.
Amazing, just amazing.
Yes.
It's wonderful to know that something so historic is in the hands of people who preserve that history, care about it, but can connect that mission. That is a great message to have with this house.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. The house is being used today to house men that are coming out of institutions, have done time. Oftentimes men that society's turned their back on.
I was involved and associated with selling drugs and using drugs, and got the best of me, and over a period of years of this constant getting arrested, going to jail, getting out of jail, going back to jail, I finally worked up enough criminal background to end up in prison. But I knew that this was not who I was. So I made up my mind to lean towards the spiritual side, the part I was raised with.
My wife and I, we were at Worthington Methodist Church, and we moved down to serve at New Life Methodist Church at 5th and High Street. And in experiencing what urban ministry is all about, we learned how to stand next to people that were from a different side of life, and fell in love with the thought that we could really be useful in God's kingdom if we learned how to do that. And so we looked around and found a house on Agler Road that would serve as a ministry house. And we found, after being in business for about 2 years, that after 4 to 6 months with us, they weren't yet ready to transition on their own. And so we were looking for a second ministry house, which is this one here.
The day they get out, we pick them up at the bus station. Some having done 15, 20, 25 years.
I'm living differently now, so I feel that it's important that I myself stay on the right path to show the men that you too can do this, you can be different. Men are able to come here and get reunited with their families, reunited with their old professions. They have an opportunity to become useful again.
Where's my brothers? I can't see them. Where are they hiding at?
The men that come to us, many of them have deep-seated problems in their life. Their mothers were prostitutes, their fathers weren't around. Some of the men have never had dinner together around a family dinner table. And so when we have our family meals once a month and we allow them to bring loved ones together for something like Thanksgiving, for many of them, this is the first time they've ever experienced this. I think we all need to be more forgiving. I think we need to be more loving. I think we need to put ourselves in situations that are different from what we see in suburban America, where we come home, raise the garage door, close it, and go into our backyard that's fenced off, and we don't have to deal with anybody except people that are like us.
The gratification that you feel when you see a man come out, get his life back together, get back with his family, get a job, get an automobile, get his home, that's huge.
So we're anxiously waiting. This is going to be the result of ancient earthworks or the fortification of General William Henry Harrison.
What you see on the map is the result of the GPS mapping and then the magnetic surveys. Then you see the red line there is the top of the embankment that we can see in the yard, and the blue dotted line is the bottom of what we think might be the ditch. And if you were to fit a circle to that, you'd notice that a perfect circle fits that pretty well. Now, I also ran an electrical resistance meter, and really what it's mapping is the distribution of water. Hopefully you can see that arcing around in here, these black readings there, those are higher resistance, so it's dry. There, that's the top of the embankment. And then the white area there, that indicates lower resistance readings, and the water's down in the ditch, so it makes sense.
This is exciting. Congratulations. You've given birth to a mound.
Yeah, right, you're a new father. You know, it's really probably because of this house being here that this circular enclosure is still as intact as it is today.